The reason most people give up on their New Year's resolutions, in my opinion, is not because they don't have the discipline or willpower, but it's because we either don't enjoy our new habits or because our new habits aren't giving us the results. So today I'm going to share with you 10 habits that help me lose more than 30 pounds of fat and keep them off, that are enjoyable, fun, and highly effective. And no, these aren't obvious and outdated advice we've all heard before. These are things I'm genuinely shocked more people aren't talking about. So habit number 1 is starting your morning slow. The reason for that is because in the morning, right after rising, our cortisol levels are the highest. So if you start your morning slow, you kind of help your body to lower that cortisol levels. And as you maybe already know, cortisol is responsible for holding on to fat and having a harder time losing fat. Whereas if we lower the cortisol levels in our body and we raise serotonin levels inside our body, then we're going to have a much easier time releasing excess weight and fat. And I actually made an entire list of all the activities and foods that boost and hinder serotonin production and cortisol production. So if you want that list, send me a DM on Instagram or Facebook and I'll send that list over to you. Number 2 is sleeping more than 9 hours. Now, I know many people say, you need only 6 hours or only 8 hours. And while that might be true if our bodies are optimally healthy, fact is, if you are carrying excess weight or your body is carrying excess weight, then you need more sleep because the quality of your sleep is not as good. Because when we are overweight, we're not able to breathe as freely and as deeply. And, some people also experience snoring. So that was something I definitely experienced when my body was still overweight. I was snoring, so the quality of my sleep wasn't as good. Whereas now that I lost almost all of my overweight, I can definitely tell that the quality of my sleep has massively improved. So I recommend, at least now that you're looking to shed some pounds, experiment with maybe incorporating 1 or 2 more hours of sleep. And this is really a magic pill. And I'm genuinely surprised. Most weight loss videos aren't talking about this because, I don't know, they just focus on diet and some on exercise. But sleep is just as an important of a pillar as the other two. So yeah, give it a try and let me know what happens. Number 3 is to have staple meals that you love so much, that are, nourishing, healthy, and then to have maybe, 2 to 4 staple meals and then rotate between these. And instead of trying new healthy recipes all the time, see to make these recipes better and better every time. And a good analogy here could be like opening up a business. It is an extreme analogy, but I recently watched this video of a guy who said, if you start a business, people often go into new ventures and make new things instead of making that one thing they're doing right now better. And you can say the exact same thing for your meals. If you have so many different recipes and you're constantly trying new things, it'll take up a lot of your focus. And I mean, by all means, if you're like a chef or you enjoy making new recipes and this brings joy to your heart, go for it. But if you're someone who doesn't like to stand in the kitchen for very long or has a lot of things going on, then I recommend to just focus on a few. So for me, those recipes are definitely my banana smoothie recipe with, ripe bananas and frozen berries. And then I also have my salad almost every day with, greens, cucumber, tomatoes, and my dressing, my favorite dressing. And then I also have usually potatoes. I don't have them every day, but, a couple times a week, I pretty much every time I eat like a cooked meal, it's potatoes with my fat and salt-free homemade ketchup. So those are kind of the 3 recipes that I'm rotating between. And honestly, that clears up so much space in my head, because if I had to figure out new recipes, and usually the first time you make a recipe, at least for me, they don't turn out that great. You need to do them a couple of times till they really taste amazing. Whereas with those, I've refined them so much that I know exactly when I make them, it's so delicious. And I have it literally almost every day. These 3 recipes, either 1, 2, or even 3 of those. And I'm still not bored. And I've been rotating between these for the last, 1 or 2 years now. And yeah, definitely highly recommend to have some staple meals that you rotate in. And then tip number 4 is also something I'm genuinely surprised in most weight loss videos. There is not being talked about visualization. So visualization, there is different ways to practice it. The way I usually do it is I kind of close my eyes as if I were in a meditation. I usually do it right after waking up when I'm still lying in bed. And I remove my pillow so that I can just lie flat on my back, and I just close my eyes and I kind of visualize traveling forward in time to my 1 year older or 5 year older self that has already accomplished what I have accomplished. So in that case, I would travel to the older self that, has a slim, super lean physique, and I would connect with her. I would talk with her. I would ask her some questions, everything that happened and changed in my life since I lost all that weight and how she did it. And I don't know, just connect with her and to really absorb that energy of my future self that's already there. But you can do whatever type of visualization you enjoy. You can also make a vision board and just connect with it regularly. But really connecting with that version of yourself that already has what you're currently moving towards is incredibly powerful and will allow us to know so many things that we can do in order to get there that we otherwise wouldn't have thought of. So definitely highly recommend. The 5th habit I have implemented is to drink about 1 liter of cold refrigerated spring water in the morning before eating anything. Now, this is not a crazy weight loss trend that I'm doing to get in as little calories as possible, but it's just right after waking up, it just feels so good to first hydrate my body with some cold, fresh water. And that way I just feel like I'm not craving that much dense foods, but my body is more craving and more gravitating towards high water content foods that usually have a little bit less calorie density than things like bread and dates and all that kind of stuff. And something I just want to mention in between is that I'm sharing these 10 habits not for you to implement every of these 10 habits, because I could imagine that would be way too overwhelming for you. My goal for this video is just to help you maybe find 1 or max 2 habits inside this video that really genuinely excite you to take action upon. So whatever of those 10 things I'm sharing today it is that makes you excited to take action, choose those and do them instead of trying to juggle with 10 balls and trying to do all of them. So I just wanted to mention that real quick. All right, the 6th tip is something I've already kind of alluded before, and that is to focus more on high water content foods. So if currently, for example, you're still consuming bread, pasta, stuff like that, maybe see if you can replace them with something more high water content like potatoes, sweet potatoes, something like that. And obviously know that now that it is higher in water, the calorie density is way lower. So in order to feel the same amount of satiation, in order to get in the same amount of calories, you'll have to eat a lot more volume. So eat more volume of it, but focus more on those foods and you'll automatically start shedding those pounds without having to think about calories at all. But obviously, fruits and vegetables are extremely low in calories, extremely high in water, and also extremely high in minerals and vitamins. So they'll just satiate you on a whole new level. So if you start focusing more and more on those, the weight is going to come off effortlessly without you even having to think about calories. Number 7 is, that was my book where I have written everything down. So number 7 is to have one overt fat that you're currently focusing on and then cutting out all the other ones. So you can choose whatever it is. For me, for example, it is hemp seeds, because I really enjoy having a dressing with my salads with 1 or 1.5 tablespoons of hemp seeds in it, blended up with some dates and some lime. This is kind of my core overt fat. I don't have it every day because I also like having a couple of days every week where I don't eat any overt fats. But yeah, and then every once in a while, I'll have some avocado, or I'll have some durian, or I have a little bit of coconut meat or homemade coconut milk. But it's more of an exception. Like, my core is the hemp seeds. So find something for you and then cut out all the other overt fats. If you're still consuming oil, for example, cut that out. Cut out the processed foods that still contain that stuff, and then just focus on that. And that way it'll be way easier for you to know how much of that overt fat you're eating, to keep your fat percentage under 10%, because that's where we really want to be. If you're looking to lose weight, we want to have that fat percentage under 10%, because I don't 100% agree with the quote, the fat you eat is the fat you wear, because I know a bunch of people who consume more than 10% fat who are still very slim and lean. But I do definitely feel like if you're someone who struggles with losing weight, then the fat you eat is the fat you wear. So you can just have that mantra in your head and just know, if you eat enough carbs, you're not even going to crave any fat. And a little bit is, of course, fine. It's just when we go overboard with the fat consistently, then we're first of all not feeling our best physically, but it's also just going to be incredibly challenging to lower the fat percentage in our body. Number 8 is to keep your starch-based meals or your carb-based meals overt fat-free. So, for example, for me, the only times I consume overt fats, for example, in form of avocado or hemp seeds, is when I have had a salad. So when I'm eating potatoes, for example, I don't eat any overt fats with it. And I actually have a funny story about that, because this year at Christmas, if you've seen my What I Eat in a Day video that I made, where I show what I eat on Christmas, I actually made a hemp seed dressing with the potatoes instead of my usual fat and oil-free and salt-free ketchup. And I didn't really feel that good at night. I could feel how I wasn't breathing as freely anymore. And just generally the next day I felt a little bit sluggish. And I personally am convinced that was because of the combination of overt fats and starches, which is not optimal in terms of food combining. So definitely also, not just for feeling your best, but also for losing weight, huge game changer for me to keep those always separated, to either have my overt fats with the salad in the evening or, in the late afternoon, or to have my starch-based meals with no overt fats. Number 9 is something I call the nightly reset. It is basically going through my apartment in the evening and setting myself up for success in the next day. For example, putting out my workout clothes, or putting out, if I'm going somewhere, putting those clothes out, kind of also journaling a little bit in my book and planning, okay, what am I going to be doing the next day? Also, what am I going to be eating the next day? Either write it down, or I lay out the food I'm going to be eating the next day on the counter or on a specific shelf in the fridge, so I know exactly what I'm going to be eating. And that way I kind of already am visualizing myself eating those foods. And huge game changer, not just for myself, but also for some people that I've given this advice. They've just been saying this is so helpful to do that, because if you do it in the evening, then you're basically during the sleep reprogramming your mind to be doing that the next day. And then the last tip number 10, is to always remain playful and always keep that joyful attitude throughout whatever you're doing. Be flexible and also be compassionate with yourself if you're slipping up, because I think that is the most important thing to always remember. We're looking to change and we're looking to implement new habits to feel better, to improve the quality of our lives. So the biggest factor to identify if your quality of life is high or not is the amount of joy you're experiencing while doing the things you're doing. So by remaining joyful with whatever you're doing, having fun, making it exciting, it's just going to become effortless. And, again, the weight is going to drop off effortlessly. And that's also why, as I already mentioned in the middle of this video, don't take all these 10 habits and be super rigid for the next 3 days and then feel like a failure because none of those actually stick. After this video, Pick 1 or 2 of these habits that I just mentioned and start implementing. So I'm going to summarize it one more time. Start your morning gentle. Sleep, rotate between staple meals. Visualize yourself already being slim. 1 liter of cold water. Have 1 overt fat and then just cut out all the other ones. Keep your starch-based meals low and overt fat free. The nightly reset. Enjoy, have fun, and remain playful throughout the process. So if you made it all the way till here, please write a comment of the one you are going to implement into your life, and I'll see you next time. Bye.